I believe there is a sequence and a code to unlocking anything you want in your life. What is up, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of Coach Code Podcast. What's up, Julie? How are you?
What's up? Good. I'm good.
Got the little license plate there. I like it. Little Jules.
Yeah, that's from 1989.
Nice.
Right? Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, I appreciate you, jumping up early with us and jumping on and hanging out with us this morning.
Yeah, it's an honor actually to be on a podcast with you. This is awesome.
Well, I appreciate you making the time and jumping in, and I would love for you to give a little background. I know we're going to kind of get into kind of the real estate story and multiple markets and things that you're doing, today, but would love for you to just kind of take us back in time and a little intro about yourself.
Okay. Well, gosh, way back, I used to own a boat dealership that was number 2 in the country. Life changed and ended up getting divorced. So in 2004, had to figure out what the heck I was going to do with my life. And my dad was a builder, and I was always kind of the son he never had. And he said, you need to get into to construction. And I'm like, you need to get your contractor's license. And I was like, no, I don't know anything about that. And he goes, oh no, you know more than you think. Because, he's been a builder all my life. And
Right.
I was always that one that would always like pick up all the debris all around all the job sites. And, when are we going to work, Dad? That kind of thing. And so in 2005, I actually did get my contractor's license. And my stepmom was a realtor. She sold all the homes my dad built. And I was like, well, I want to do that too. So in 2006, I got my real estate license in Oregon and Washington, and, started doing that. I really got into real estate only to sell the homes that I was building. So I wasn't really trying to,
Make a career out of it.
Realtor. Right. Yeah. So, in Oregon here, you have to hang your license somewhere for at least 3 years before you can go off on your own. So in 2010, I actually got my principal broker's license and became Julie Younger Realty. And, I sold a few houses to friends and family, and a few times sold my dad's houses because I was maybe there building a fence or something, and someone wanted to look at one of his homes that we were building in a subdivision. And then in 2018, November of 18, I was getting my CE credits for Oregon. And I was going to a 3-hour in-person CE credit class for investing because I wanted to get my real estate license in Arizona and invest buying investment properties. And I went to that class and reached out to the gal putting it on. And next thing you know, I'm telling my husband I'm going to move my license to EXP. And he's like, what? You don't share your commission with anyone. Why would you do that? And I said, because it's not about money. It's about people. And I said, you do construction, because my husband has a contractor's license also. And I'll do real estate and just wear one hat, because I was always a jack of all trades and a master of none. And so as soon as I did that, wow, it's been trajectory like full speed ahead. It was the best thing. I should have done that 17 years ago.
Looking at, just kind of your story, it's fascinating. And like you said, jack of all trades and just navigating so many different changes, right? From anything that you can build to the size doesn't matter, right? With the boat dealership, then, you know, navigating to kind of into, you know, contracting, general contracting, building houses. And, you know, it's kind of, you're hardwired, right? It's just kind of in your DNA, just no different than me with my dad, right? Spending time with him, it was just hardwired DNA as a coach, right? So it's just,
Yeah.
no matter what, I mean, it's just kind of ingrained in, you know, in that environment for so long. So being in that, you know, getting in, I guess, what were some of the success principles that led you guys to have such a large, you know, success in the boat dealership game, especially during that time frame?
Well, my ex-husband, who's now passed away, he could sell ice to Eskimos. So we actually started the boat dealership with my credit cards. Um, and I remember, I mean, he just his you know, his work ethic and how he got things up and going every night. He would be making those phone calls.
Mm.
You know, every night. It didn't matter. He was old school, so he had a notebook pad with names on it, and it had a ton of pages on it, and, you know, of people that he would meet, maybe at a boat show or wherever. Somebody that said they were interested in a boat, he would write their name down with their number. And then on the left side, it was sold, you know, it had sold, 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 sold. So, right, you know, he would go back through and keep making those calls. And I had a Mastercraft boat. I bought it when I was 19 years old. I had a new one. It was 93. And it was the first boat that we sold, and we were selling Supers and Moombas at the time, not Mastercrafts. And yeah, it we I think it, like I said, it's just his work ethic. And so I learned from that. And then also my father, you know, as a builder, I mean, he's got an amazing, you know, I don't know if it's a disease or what, but I mean, it's never enough. It's
Yeah.
never enough. How can I get better? How can I make this faster? How can I do it? You know, how can I help other people experience what I am here? So that's
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and so, you know, just that work ethic, and then the transition, just kind of natural falling into that, on the building side of things. And then just, it's crazy, right? How it's just like a river, right? It's just that whole, you know, life as a river concept. And you never
Mhm.
know, sometimes it's nice and smooth, and, you know, on the, on the raft with the beard, then it's like, you know, it's, you know, the rapids, and hold on, right? And
For
so
sure.
it really is, you know, interesting how things come to be, and learning from those experience, and making other choices. And I know, you had kind of mentioned just kind of that entrepreneurial DNA, and, you know, getting to know you. And, you know, the one of the traits that tend to see with a lot of entrepreneurs is they get bored. Has that kind of like creeped in for you kind of throughout, you know, kind of your professional journey, and,
Oh,
you know, staying engaged, and not allowing that boredom to set in?
100%. 100%. And what's funny is you're bringing back so many memories here to me. I, I, I've always, like, even in high school, I always had multiple jobs, or, you know, right out of high school. I mean, you know, you know, worked in the restaurant industry, but, you know, and did other side things. I've always had multiple jobs. And I remember one time I was thinking, I'm going to just work for someone else. I don't want the responsibility of, you know, making sure I have, you know, a paycheck or whatever. And now, you know, and look at me.
How did that work? How did that
Yeah,
last?
right. Yeah. But you're right. It's never enough. And, in my mind, I'm constantly, I do get bored. I get bored, and then I want to challenge myself to, but you know, what's funny is I do that not only with work, but also with, I guess, with fitness.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's like I was riding my Peloton this morning. My husband came in and goes, "You're a machine." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm just here,
Yeah.
But yeah, you challenge yourself to do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more.
Yeah, Julie, do you think that is something that is kind of can be learned, or is it just in kind of the environment, right? We talk environment is greater than willpower. Is it just being around in that environment for an extended period of time, or is that something that can be learned and developed?
Yeah, that I I don't know that answer. I mean, I guess I feel like it's ingrained in me. I feel like it's part of my DNA. I feel like um it's who I am. And but maybe it was crafted by my experiences growing up, and and it molds you who you are today. But I do try and surround myself with influencers and people like you and people that lift me up, that I aspire to be.
Mm.
And that is a, I mean, that's almost like a, like a drug. It's like, okay, like you were you were talking about Tina Call, the last few
Mhm.
times I've seen you. Who did I tune into today, this morning? Oh my gosh, I want more of Tina Cole.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
It's
an
amazing.
amazing human being. I'm like, oh my gosh, she inspires me, and so many things that she was saying, I'm like, that's me, that's me. And so now I have this. I mean, I have to be careful. So when I do meet her in person one day, I don't like scare her. Like I'm not a stalker.
I know a few folks that have stalked her plenty, so I think she's used to it. No, that's fantastic. I really, you think back and, even our conversation yesterday, just, finding people that want to put in work, finding people that want to, that like it's effort, and finding people that are willing to put in that effort. And, it's just like, what is your belief system to that doesn't, or makes you think that, hard work is not the answer, right? Just
Yeah,
solution, the effort that it really
yeah,
takes.
yeah,
Um, not saying that that's everything, but the effort, the energy has to be there. You have to show up and commit to the action, right? Like what we were talking about at KT, it's committed action, right? Not just showing up and just doing enough to get by, but it's really the committed action required to achieve the outcome that we're in pursuit of.
yeah. And it's I guess learning from your failures too, because you could be going and then all of a sudden realize this isn't working out, and you just got to call it, and then accept your failure, and figure out what you've learned from that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
talk about that a little bit more, because I think there's a lot of people, there's the fear of that failure. There's also the fear of a success. But kind of share kind of your process when you do hit a failure. And I believe we used to always joke with the team, right? We talk about challenges, failures, constraints, and we would say the only reason you don't have that is because you're not doing anything. If you're doing something, you're going to crash and burn. You're going to make adjustments. You're going to have failures. So for you, kind of walk through your process of that. Cause I think you can't hear it enough when somebody accepts it and understands, hey, it's failure. How do I process it? How do I move on from it?
well, it's funny because my mindset, I mean, I love to golf. I'm not a very good golfer. I always kind of say, if you're a really good golfer, you need to get a job. Spending time out there too much. I I look at golf as like because I mean it's fun to me and it's competitive. But I look at every hole as a new hole, and I know that you probably as a golfer shouldn't. I don't know because I don't play competitively, right? But I look at, okay, I sucked at that hole. And so next one's going to be better. Next one's going
Yeah.
to be better. And I don't
Only
know if
got one
that's
shot.
almost like a gambler mindset too. If I put a few more dollars in here, it's going to, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. But that's kind of my mindset is there's always another day. There's always, okay, I ate like crap today, but you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to hit it hard. I guess I have that it's okay mindset. And I want to, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a fresh start. And, I don't know. That's kind of how I've always look at the day.
Yeah, and you learn from those experiences, especially with golf. You can learn so much about yourself and learn so much about others just by playing that game. And for me, I've since I was 7 years old been on the golf course, and so you look at one like the whole belief, and if you got to coach and lead yourself first, and you really learn so much, right? Because it's a lot of self set personal integrity. And a lot of people say, I live with integrity, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. It's like, well, do you keep the promises you make to yourself? Because that's integrity. And a lot of people don't. And I think just by even that game, a lot of integrity. Are you bumping the
Oh
ball
yeah.
around? You hit it out. You counting that stroke, right? And
Right.
just a lot of little things. And then, how do you deal with the frustrations? Because it'll damn sure frustrate you. So how do
Yeah.
you deal with that? How do you process it? How do you move on to the next shot? And it is a great game that will truly, truly test your character for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. My son played golf and I watched him, grow in high school play a little and his frustrations and you just gotta, pick it up and shake it off and move on. And I feel like that's there. There's so many times when that uh, what. So I went through a class recently, and they called it the drunk monkey on your
Mhm.
shoulder. That
Yeah.
just is telling you you're no good, or you're a failure, or you're a loser, or whatever, and you just have to, you know, just brush him off of your shoulder and believe that you are good, and you might have failed this time, but you're gonna get back up and go at it, and
How
you
do
keep
you deal with that?
yeah.
Right. I mean, it's easier. It's one of those easier said than done. Because that voice can get real loud. That monkey can get real loud. So for you, how do you, you know, push that off, or how do you move away from that and move away from it quickly?
Well, again, it's people that you surround yourself with. So, I might, go for a ride on my Peloton, or I might, pick up a phone call to somebody that I know believes in me or whatever. But a lot of times, it's in your head. You gotta break that cycle somehow, and so you gotta do something that will fill your cup. And
Mm.
so for me, like on my birthday, I drove around and passed out 10 pot pie gifts or whatever. It filled my cup. I love doing something for someone else makes me feel good,
Mm.
and expecting nothing in return. So I mean, I have a lot of people in real estate and around me that I just love to try and help them get to wherever they're trying to be. So that is, try almost like take the pressure off yourself, or your eyes off yourself, and put it onto someone else. And so
I think it's okay to give yourself permission to do that. And you know, nobody's perfect. Everybody's dealing with something, right? It's just
yeah.
theme at last KT, right? That the whole layers deeper concept. And our coach Matt. has that concept of, get out of the smoke, and get to the real root of what's really going on. And he has that the starved concept, and really get to the real root of the issue and get out of the smoke, but also make sure that you're not going to get choked on your own smoke, and throwing out the bullshit stories that are just not true. And I love you know Byron Katie's framework and the work. Is that true? Is that absolutely true? And when you go a couple is that true questions deeper, and you really face it, majority of the time, that little bastard monkey, it's not true.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And I believe too, the exercise. I do want to get into something. I do believe that there's certain things that are our behaviors, our actions, our habits can help fight off that crazy monkey. And one of the things that it's one of the commitments that, and I got to get into. You do it well because you habit stack it, and it's your journaling process. I would love for you to share that journaling process and what you've been doing and what it's done for you over these last 4 or 5 years here that
Yeah.
you've consistently journaled. I mean, we've got to talk about that.
Okay, well, I made a commitment to when I decided life changing, to be honest, when I moved my license to EXP, because I was on my own, and I wasn't, around anybody else. And so I decided it was like almost like a pivotal point in my life that I'm like, I'm committing to something. I'm committing to something. And so in January 1, I started journaling.
That was
And
2019.
yeah, January 1, sorry. Yeah, January 1, 2019. I started journaling, and I have not missed a day. My husband expects it, I'm going up, I'm going to go journal or whatever. He gives me some time or whatever. But yeah, it's crazy. I've changed, before I might have done it in the morning. Now I'm consistently doing it right before bed. And what I talk about in my journal is my day and how I was
Mm.
feeling, and what things am I doing, or that I did, what contacts did I make, um, you know what worked and what didn't work. And then at the end, I put a little line. I'll put, I'll say, I love you, Lord. And I say, I'm grateful. I'm great. And what I'm grateful for, I say I am blessed. And
Mm.
then I start saying I am what I'm committed to. I
Mm.
am committed to, and I'll put down my goals. That's some of the things that I am committed to doing, and it helps to write it down. I know when in 2019, I said I'm committed to making $100,000. I hadn't sold a house. I made that number up. I'm like, I'm committed to $100,000. I'm committed to making $100,000. I wrote that every single day. At the end of 2019, at the end of that year, I had made $150,000. And I was
That's
like,
so
whoa,
awesome. Yeah.
whoa, and I thought I was rich. And I'm like, woohoo, wow. But there is something to be said about writing it down and actually believing it. And then, and I read, and I listen to, different things, and I read, and there's different ways to say it. Like, I am committed no matter what, there's certain things, triggers that you can write and say that, that really make it stick. But I have now started rereading, going back to 2019, and starting from the beginning and reading. I'm trying to find patterns, maybe mood patterns and in the time of year, how was I feeling, seasons, what's going on. And I chuckle because I'm reading these going, oh my gosh, what happened to him? Or, oh, I finally sold them a house and it's been 3 years. Um, but what I realized is that so many people came in and out of my world, and and it maybe didn't nothing happened then, but I stayed in touch, and so like I said, I met this person, and I was doing the things. I was excited because I'm getting momentum. It might have never went anywhere, but it gave me confidence to move forward, and confidence that I'm practicing real estate. I'm doing all the things. And then um, that leads to something else. And whatever it was that I was doing might not have ever went anywhere, right? I actually, my sister referred me to I think it was in March or February of 2019. My sister referred me to her boss's friend that was moving from Arizona here to Washington. Oh my gosh, I picked him up at the airport. I showed him a crap ton of houses. I never did sell him a house, but you know what I did get from him? I met a guy at a bar that we went up for lunchtime. I think I showed him like 20 houses in one day. We stopped for lunch at this little place in Washington. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing blank on the name of the restaurant, but we sat up at the bar to have lunch, and behind the counter was a guy that I wanted to make sure he knew this. This was not no date. I'm like his realtor.
Yes.
And we said we were out looking at homes, and he said, "Oh, I'm getting my real estate license." And I said, "Oh, well, let me give you my card. I'm with EXP, and his name is Stephen Vanetta. Stephen joined me here at EXP, and he is now in 2 years an icon producing agent, and I
Man,
can't
that's
be
so
more
cool.
proud of him. And so this other Charlie was his name, never sold him a home. Actually, it's been over a year since I've chatted with him. I don't even know where he is now, but I met Steven from him. So it's like you're doing all the things, and the people that you meet along the way is pretty exciting.
That is so cool. It's so cool. You and I've talked about this kind of going back and rereading and finding where you were feeling kind of at your best and what was causing you to get there. And that's Tim Ferriss, right? Does does the same thing. But like he takes it to the extreme. I think he even writes down his workouts and how long he worked out, how many reps. And so it's
Oh,
just like,
geez.
yeah, it's just what his body weight was. Like he's on another level. But
Yeah.
I love that process. And when I said, where you find the consistency is the habit stack, right? So it's like you said, you go up, you brush your teeth, you journal, right? So it's stacking those habits. And
And I
um,
floss.
and I've noticed that those that do those things that you have to be intentional with usually stack it around something. And so I've got an agent out in Virginia, and her routine in the morning is coffee. She sits down and she works her database. It's just like that's her thing, right? And so I think finding that habit stack around the habits that are gonna really, unlock certain things in your life and in your thinking and your belief, and the Peloton, right? The exercising, the journaling, those things help keep that monkey away.
Yes.
And so if you want to keep it away, if you want to optimize your life, if you want to become the best version of yourself, those things are critical. If not, you could eat McDonald's every day if that's what you
Yeah.
want to do. But
Yeah.
if you want to truly optimize and become the best version of yourself, there are some things that we have to commit to. And I loved how you kept saying you said it, because we talked a lot about it at KT this time, because I've noticed a lot of people kind of in scary times of uncertainty, their confidence fails. And we talked about, it's committed action. And you said that in there. You were doing the things, the confidence comes later. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people get tripped up. And that's that confidence gap is most people believe that they have to feel confident before they can do the things that brings the confidence. So it's committed action. It's learning the things that you need to learn, doing the things daily, and the confidence will come. It's just doing the things within your control.
Yeah. Those actions that I was doing, going through the motions, was giving me confidence. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I am a real estate agent. You know, I'm doing the things, and yeah, 100% gave me momentum,
Yeah.
which led me, to, ideas and other people. And it's like, you're just going down that river,
Yeah.
like you said. I can picture it.
Oh,
So
I love it. I love it. One thing I do have to pull out of you and I, we joke about it all the time. And you said it. You built the #2 boat dealership in the country off of credit cards. You've also built a house, not just any house,
I know. What is my
$1 million
thing
house
with credit
off of
cards? I
credit
don't
cards.
know. In full disclosure, I have zero balance. I never carry a balance on my credit cards. So just in full disclosure there, because I'm seeing a common theme here. um, yes, we did. We started that boat company, or boat dealership, with my credit cards. And yes, uh I lived on a house on Lake Oswego that was a shack of a house, and raised my kids there, and always wanted to do something with this shack of a house that had to have mold in it. And it was built in like 1927 or something like that. Didn't want to have anyone over to the house very often, because not
Yeah.
real like proud of it. Um, so because my husband and I were in construction, we were like, well, gosh, we need to just like tear this down and build, because it could be a huge profit, for us. So I started investigating if I could get a loan. Well, as a contractor, this was, before EXP for me. This was in 2014, 13. Um, and I was trying to get a loan. And when you're a independent contractor, oftentimes you don't qualify for much.
Right.
Let's just say.
Yep.
So I kept getting I kept getting no for that. And then I kept getting these 0% interest offers in the mail. And so I had an idea, and I actually met with an attorney, because knowledge is king, and I actually met with an attorney to see how could I get around capital gains. We'd lived there, X amount of time, lived there a long time. But he basically said that I could we could form a corporation, and we could sell it to ourselves, and on a note. And so we went through that. And now, mind you, I do have a loan on this house too. And these 0% interest credit card statements, or offers, kept coming in. So I'd apply, and I would get, this money. So I don't even know. I could probably try and find. I have the computer here. I probably could try and find the Excel spreadsheet. But I think at one time I had probably 10 0% interest credit cards, and I created this spreadsheet. And every tab was its own credit card page. And I would put down what I borrowed on it, when it was due. I set it up on auto pay, so it never miss a payment, because as soon as you miss a payment, it's all of its, your interest goes back, whatever. So I basically, we bulldozed our house. That was pivotal. And because my son was born there, and they got to help, jackhammer and do all kinds of stuff and tear it down. We built we sold it for $1.4 million, and I paid no interest. I kept transferring the balances, and yeah. I built a
I
$1.4
love it.
million home with my credit cards.
Yeah, it is. Like when first time you told me that story, I was like, wait, back up, say that again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
I guess I never
It's
really
so
thought
cool.
it was that anything great until I start talking about it, and then hearing the feedback. I'm like, I guess there is kind of a pattern there with me and credit cards. I don't know.
I think it's just, you go back to kind of the entrepreneurial, DNA and how you're hardwired, and there's always a way. And, I reference from Ben Horowitz's book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And he stresses in there. It's like you always have a move. There is always a way. Um, the only time that you don't have a way is when you quit. That's it. If
Yeah.
you stay in the fight and you keep pushing, keep learning, what do I need to know? What are all of my options? And there's if you like if you have your hands here, right? Down in front of you,
Hmm.
you can see so much. But as you bring your hands up closer, you can't see anything. And whatever concept, right? Like Coach Burt says, you can't see the picture inside of the frame, right? It's the whole forest and trees. And Jocko talks about it in Extreme Ownership, is that when you're engaged, you can't see, right? When you're here, you can't see all of your opportunities. And so sometimes we have to be really good at stepping back, disengaging, getting it down to where we can start to see what are all of our moves and our possibilities. And it typically turns into possibly turns into a who equation, right? We talk a lot about that, the who not how concept. Um, being, just kind of, I would say anybody probably 40 and up, growing up with parents, grandparents, to where you had to do everything, being so hardwired in how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? And, I just love Dan Sullivan's concept. That's not how life is anymore, right? We don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of who equations, and there's a lot of, even with technology, even with, just had Carlos on, you and I talked about it, the AI conversation yesterday. I mean, shit, chat GPT can give us the answer probably. And so, just being resourceful and knowing that you have a move. Everybody has a move. The only time that you don't is just when you quit.
Yeah. I think that I've always been resourceful. I think I've always been, I don't know. I was a middle child. I have a stepsister that's a year younger, and my sister is 3 years older. And like I said, I was the son my dad never had, and so I was always. I mean, my if we, I just I've always my older sister always kind of went to my dad. My younger sister went to my stepmom because that's who her mom was. So I'm like in the middle here, going, okay, who do I have? So I think I find I I guess I'm never satisfied with no. I'm not okay with no, and I'm gonna find a way.
Yeah,
There's somehow, some way. There's got to be a way. Yeah.
that's amazing, right? Like when you step back and think about that for a second, and when you want something, right? When you want something, you find a way, no matter what.
Yeah.
There's
I've been
always
told I'm stubborn. Yeah. Yeah.
polite way of saying
Politely.
something else, right?
I don't know. I'm driven. I'm just
Yeah.
very driven, and it's
What are you
not.
driven for? What are you driven for? Because I think this is important for people listening in, because I think that's where people sometimes they don't fight because they don't have that drive. What is that drive for you?
I am. I'm just driven to be better. To it's never enough, and I want to help it's like one of my goals this year is to help 16 people. It doesn't have to be agents. It's just 16 people. I want to help other people get to wherever they want to be.
How
Maybe
come?
it's only selling 3 houses or whatever. Okay, let me
Right.
help you sell 3
But how
houses.
come? But how come?
Um, it fills my soul. I don't know. I don't know that answer. I'm just driven. I'm not, it's never enough for me. It's almost like I have to be careful. I mean, I have to be careful of drinking alcohol. I have to be careful of drinking caffeine because I take it to the extreme. You can ask
Hmm.
my husband. I I go all out.
Yeah.
I don't leave anything on the table.
Yeah.
And I
It's
it's
obsessed.
I'm obsessed.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
And have you gone through Cam Hanes' book Endure? Did you ever listen to it or go through it? You
Mm-mm.
might want to dive into that. Cam is he's 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 incredible. But that's what he says in there is like if you're not obsessed, you're gonna get crushed in this world. And how do you find that obsession? Right. That's kind of the question for me. I'm there's certain things too, right? I'm like you. I'll take it way to the extreme. I mean, shit, going 100 miles like on foot,
Yeah.
like and it's but that's still once we do that, that's still not gonna be enough, right? And coaches, we've already talked about this, right? It's like, okay, then what? Okay,
Then what?
what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
So for you, how have you is it just hardwired in you from that obsession? I mean, what is it?
I think it, I'm an addict, I guess. I mean, I am obsessed. I don't know. It's hardwired. It is. I don't see my sisters aren't that way. My husband's not that way. You
Yeah.
know, my kids, I don't know. I do see my kids have some of these, but I don't know. It's hardwired, John. I really think it is. I think, or maybe it's the experiences that that you had growing up. My father is actually a recovering alcoholic, and in my past, in my childhood, there was a lot of letdowns and that kind of stuff before he got sober, which I think he's sober like 32 years now or something like that, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But it is in the back of my mind, and I do see that I have addictive habits, like drinking my Starbucks coffee every day or whatever, and then I'll just cold turkey just stop. I'll just
Yeah.
stop. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this doesn't serve me anymore. I don't like it.
I
And
think
I'll just stop. It's like, how can you just do that? I don't know.
it's moments, right? That you give it more meaning than whatever it was prior to that. And I grew up, my dad smoked, growing up the whole life, right? Grew up in a smoker's house, and I'm not going to do that. Shit, of course, smoking in like a freight train. And then my oldest Colton was about to be born, and I remember just one day I was like, I don't want him to see this. I don't want him to be around it, and I stopped and haven't smoked since. I mean, I'll smoke some cigars now and then, but that's to me that's a little different than the cigarettes. But I get what you're saying. When you find a meaning that's more meaningful than whatever the habit was, you just quit.
Yeah.
Just quit. Julie, you're amazing. What are you kind of looking forward to, excited about, moving into, this market? It's uncertain. Like, we think we kind of get a feel for what it is. We kind of get a feel for what's going on, but, moving into, the second quarter and into the rest of this year. I mean, what are you the most excited about right now?
Well, I know. I mean, I don't watch TV anymore. I don't watch the media. I don't listen to the media. I don't watch TV, which is kind of funny because I was obsessed with that for a while too. Cold turkey stop. And I actually just recently told some friends, I'm like, hey, if you think I need to know something? Will you let me know? Like if we all need to like go underground, duck for cover,
Yeah.
pull all of our money out of our, out of the banks or whatever, will you let me know? Because I'm not watching any of that stuff. I think it is an amazing year. People ask everywhere you go, how's the market? It's great.
Yeah.
It is great. And
Yeah.
it's your attitude, it's your energy. And we didn't even talk about energy today, but energy is huge, and it will attract people to you. And relationships. That's what I'm excited about for this, second quarter is how many relationships can I get? How many people can I serve, or be around, or help, or everybody has a story, and I love to listen. And it's, I mean, I'm busy. I have things happening and people coming into my world. I have referrals all the time, and I'm grateful for those. And how did I get the referrals? Communication, not being a secret agent, just being present and communicating, I think, is huge. Relationships. That's what I'm excited about.
I told you about it. Leanne had me listen to Ed Milet's podcast with whatever the doctor's name, but where they talk about the 85-year-old study that's still going. Have you listened to that one yet?
I don't
You've got to
know.
listen to it. So it's one of Ed's most recent podcast episodes.
Okay.
And it's this study that they've been doing for 85 years now. And I think they're on the fourth director, and it's still ongoing. And they just monitor, it started out with like 700 people, whatever. And then just as they've getting married and kids and grandkids, and it's just kind of carried on. But it really comes down to the study of what is happiness? Where does happiness really come from? And what they found is happiness comes from relationships.
Yeah.
And those that have the deeper, meaningful, most connected relationships are the happiest people. It's not about more money. It's not about just everything, right? That's all kind of a byproduct of their relationships. And so it's exciting to hear you say that. And that is where that energy can come from as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so energy management's everything, and protecting that energy at all costs is critical.
Yeah. I have to say, I think why I am in such a good place is because I am so happy with my husband and our relationship and where we are today. He supports me 100% in every crazy idea or thing I do. And that gives me strength, and it gives me energy. I can't wait for him to come home from his job site and I can just spit up all my day, and he, I think he likes it. But yeah, I think that's where I get. So if your base is good, then it's going to transpire throughout your day. And my base starts right here with my husband. And then it just, radiates throughout. Who can I call? Who can I talk to? If I cold call an agent to, see if they want to learn about EXP or whatever, I'm like, happy Thursday to you. And they're like caught off guard, like, happy Thursday to you, but they're not expecting that. And, put a smile on their face and you can tell. So that's what it's all about, is making people smile.
It is. I love it. Julie, you're amazing. I appreciate you getting up early, making the time, and just pouring in, adding a ton of value today. So can't thank you enough. You guys make sure give Julie lots of love, be able to connect. I know we've been just scrolling down here at the bottom, but if you guys are just catching this on the audio, Julie, where can they connect with you at?
They can connect with me here on my phone. I don't know. Facebook. I'm on all the channels.
We're back on Facebook. We got you back on Facebook. So,
yeah, I got back on Facebook. My
back on
Facebook got
Facebook.
hacked, so
So,
I'm starting fresh. That's
awesome.
a whole nother
That's a
topic.
whole other story. Awesome. Julie, appreciate you. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.
Okay. Thanks, John.